7 terrible versions of amazing cars. When a manufacturer builds an incredible car, they'll often offer a number of variants to appeal to a wider audience. Unfortunately, there are occasions where these alternatives ruin everything great about that model. Here are 7 examples. Toyota Supra. In full-fat twin-turbocharged mode, the Supra is an absolute animal. It's a tuner's dream project as the 2JZ engine is ripe for massive horsepower gains. But the iconic car also came with an entry-level model, which utilized a naturally aspirated version of the 2JZ inline 6, making a fairly healthy 220 horsepower, but in a relatively heavy car that made it pretty gutless. The Supra also came with a 4-speed automatic gearbox option. Couple this to the NA engine and you've got yourself a relatively cheap-to-run, if wholly unexciting JDM legend. Porsche 996 911 Cabriolet. There are obviously many good things to say about the fried egg headlights 996 Porsche 911. For example, the fact that it was the first water-cooled 911, although lots of these engines like to mix their oil and water, which is a very bad thing, and that these cars are amazing value currently, with prices starting from around £11,000 in the UK. But if you're an enthusiast, you're probably going to want to stay away from this particular 996. As it's the convertible version, it's a heavier car and not as dynamically capable as its hardtop equivalent. Couple that with the fact that it's packing a semi-automatic Tiptronic automatic gearbox, and you have a rather uninspiring 911 combination. Now, automatic gearboxes aren't inherently bad, but the Tiptronic is an old-fashioned slush box rather than a whip-crack fast double clutcher. Second generation Ford Mustang. With the late 60s new car market leaning towards smaller cars, the Mustang was in need of a new look, and it got it thanks to the Ford Pinto. The second-gen Mustang was based on the Blue Oval's then new compact car, and some of its uninspiring styling transferred over. The Mustang has a rich and glorious history, but the second gen was certainly a bit of a blip, especially seeing that it didn't even have a V8 for several years, instead packing an inline 4 and V6 initially. Nissan 240 SX. There are few cars more legendary in the drift scene than Nissan's S chassis. In America, dubbed 240 SX, a variant was offered that had an automatic gearbox and an open differential. Two things you probably want to avoid when you're looking to do mad skids. BMW E46 M3 Cabriolet. The general gist of E46 M3 gearboxes is this. The manual throw is way too long and can feel spongy, while the SMG is annoying to live with unless you're spanking the car on track every day, at which point it comes alive. In summary, both gearboxes are a bit of a letdown, but I'd be inclined to side with the manual since the vast majority of driving is normal driving. So, if the SMG is only good for track use, it wouldn't make sense to pair it with the less engaging, less lap time oriented Cabriolet variant, right? Exactly, and that's why the E46 M3 Cabriolet, a car that's roughly 160 kilograms or 350 pounds heavier, 0.4 seconds slower and less torsionally rigid, with the SMG gearbox is the rubbish variant of an otherwise awesome car. Mazda RX-7. The appeal of the Mazda RX-7 is its lightweight, hardcore, driver-focused approach, and as such it has a lovely manual gearbox. The fizzy rotary engine loves to be revved, and in manual form it's a joy to smash gears home as you tear up the track. A 4-speed automatic was also offered, and sucked all of the urgency out of proceedings. You'll still have fun in an auto RX-7, but you'll always feel like the car's a bit more reluctant to go nuts than its manually shifting companion. Toyota GT86. It might seem like we're hating on automatics here, but we're not. What we are doing is hating on rubbish autos that aren't worthy of the brilliant cars they're placed in. The GT86 is a perfect example of this. It's one of the last remaining routes to affordable rear-wheel drive performance, and its manual shifter is a delight to use, especially for second-gear sliding shenanigans. Unfortunately, the auto isn't quite as good. It takes an age to change gear, is slow to react to your paddle inputs, and if you leave it to its own devices, will hold onto the gears far longer than can ever be deemed sensible. Boo! So there you have it, 7 terrible versions of amazing cars. Can you think of any more rubbish versions of awesome cars? Hit the comments with your suggestions. So why exactly are diesel engines more efficient than petrol engines? One of the many reasons is down to the fuel itself. Diesel is comprised of more long-chain hydrocarbons, which simply means it's got more energy than petrol. In fact, it contains about 15% more energy by volume.